I want to play some Magic. Just farming some packs here, without having to think too hard about it. So this is my current build of Geist Scam. I'm not running the draw spells. I don't think that this is a deck more than a lot of decks where Magic is a game of turns. And this deck wants to do specific things on turn 1, 2, and 3, and it really doesn't want to get blocked by things. Um, so I keep the enchants that give evasion, but I drop the enchants for giving us extra draws. So I just don't think you should generally need it. Um, you run instead. I run 4 slip out the back and 3 March of Swirling Mist to give us another phase out type effect. So we've got 11 enchantments. We've got 7 phasing effects, 4 counter spells, 16 ley lines, 16 lands, 2 Geist, 4 fragment reality. So my lands, I'm running 2 Ajango, 1 plains, 1 island, 4 fountains, 4 Seachrome coasts, 4 mana confluences. We could conceivably, this might be a little too heavy on white only, so we could conceivably go down, but this is actually quite a good card in this deck. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I actually learned my lesson last game after getting Field of Ruin, so I added the plains and island in here. And then right now in the sideboard, I just have 4 leyline bindings, but I'm going to be playing best of 1 anyway. The leyline bindings went in when this leyline went in. Okay, and that's the other thing that I changed about this. Formerly, I was using the red ley lines. The red ley lines have slightly more utility than these ley lines. However, they're not blue. This is a blue card and this is a blue card, which means that when you draw these as dead cards later, you can feed them to March of Swirling Mist. So I think that makes it worth changing the concentration of blue cards in your deck because we're running so many of these. Um, in fact, you could even do something like go down one of these and up one of these. Um, sure, we'll try running it like this. And so because we have more of these, or because we're using this card, running for these and for these allows us to have more blue cards in our deck, which gets us more potential utility from that. So we'll run it like this. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. This is the ultimate you don't have to think or use your brain deck. I want a better picture. Hang on. What's the best picture for this deck? Geist. Geist Knight Snare. Anticipation. Oops. Undo. Slip. There it is. Alright. Alright. I still have the opinion that this is probably overall the strongest deck in Historic. You can definitely lose with it. You can get unlucky with it. But when I play this deck in Historic events, it just feels like they kind of fall at my feet. And when I lose them, it'll be like, oh, I went 3-3 and was very unlucky, but then I'll go and I'll just 7-0 on a good run, you know? So I wonder if I could find my win-loss rate with this deck. It would be interesting. So alright, let's hope we don't get Thoughtseized. We take this against Izzet for sure. Leon is a really very relevant. Alright, so now it might be Geomancer. It's kind of what it feels like. So we're gonna slip the Angel here because we have Geist Light Snare in March. We should be in pretty good shape here no matter what. And that's all there is to it. Like, so people said before that like Magic is a game of turns. It's like that's why Low to the Ground has like a large amount of value, because like this deck's game plan is so static. Like turn 1, get a Geist, that's it. Turn 2, turn 3, try to do some small disruption on the opponent, and usually that's enough to just win the game. So like, yeah, there's stuff that beats it. Like mono black that's running all sacrifice effects will be difficult. However, it's quite like your game plan is very reliably the same. Like it takes very little, like your opponent doesn't have a lot of chances to mess with it, your game plan, because basically their chance is turn 1. Usually after turn 1 you have some kind of interaction to kind of stop them from messing with the board state. So it's like there's this brief window where they can fuck with the combo if they have very specific cards, and then after that it's like, oh, I'm gonna board wipe on turn 3 after taking 2 hits for 8 damage both times, and then they board wipe and it gets counterspelled, or the creature gets phased, and then they're just dead. Alright, so let's keep this like this. So like here we have Geist Light Snare up after this turn. We just swing in. So like our offensive options weren't great with this hand. We won't have the 3-turn clock unless we draw an enchantment next turn. But we have 2 pieces of removal to deal with whatever his game plan is. And he's very likely to be on the... I'm going to cast a Divine Purge on next turn. Alright, we have to counter that. Divine Purge could be bad. Okay, March of Swirling Mist is quite nice. Alright, Bonnet, your go. Swing. We have the March. Sure. How do we want to do this? I do think I'm going to do it before combat. Alright, that's not good. cast it. So one blue, one green, one white. We need one more color source so we can get another ley line down. I mean, we still have a reasonable chance here. Okay. Any multicolor land? Okay, that's 3. I need to get one of these down. That's not gonna do it. We're probably dead. Shame I didn't have these before so that I could have exiled them instead of paying all my mana to get around the counterspell. Right, down to 5. We can't win anymore, so we just scoop it up. Sometimes it'd be like that. Like, the only thing really keeping this deck in check is that it's so fucking annoying and busted that all the other decks have had to make basically accommodations in their deck building for it. Like, notice he's running like the suboptimal, like, target player has to sacrifice an attacking creature spell, which generally wouldn't be as good as just killing whatever you want whenever you want. But he has to run it because this deck is prevalent, right? Alright, we can't use this hand. Mulligan. And the best part about this deck is it requires no brain to pilot. Like, literally, do you have a ley line and a fragment? If not, mulligan. Thoughtseize. No Thoughtseize. I'm gonna wait till the end of his turn. I want to know if he's mono black or not. We have to do it now because he's gonna have... we have to do it because I'm more worried about, like, yes, he could kill us right here if he's got the right card for it. But I'm more worried about him having Drown in the Lock and countering the spell. Like, he might have the Edicts, but he definitely has Drown in the Locks, right? Right. Land? Oh, that's so good. So goddamn good. Alright, so now we have a 1-mana counterspell. And we're in a much stronger position. You gonna kill Angel? Alright. Down to 14. And now we're just chilling, sitting on this Geist Light Snare. Sure. It's kind of inconsequential, like, we're all in now on this Geist, though, because he milled the other one. Funny that he decides to stay aggressive there. Maybe he has another sacrifice spell. I mean, if he does, we're done, but... he can actually successfully block us here. Unless we pull something else. Taxus. I don't like this move. I mean, he might have another Thieves Guild Enforcer. Is it Ninja? This Ninja. Alright, we're discarding cards. Absolutely fine. Yep. He has to sacrifice that to our Geist. Alright. It's the last card. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. I think that means we win. Yep, sure. No reach on either of these cards. That's the game. It works out like that. Like it's just a little bit faster than the other decks. It's just like it ends one turn earlier with this deck than with that deck, and that happens consistently. And it's like you just you're a little bit faster. You have a lot of like kind of interference with them trying to interfere with your shit, and you have a lot of kind of like very temporary interference with the board state, and that's all it takes because you're only looking for 2 turns effectively of doing something after turn 1. So if you can phase their shit out on turn 2 and phase it out on turn 3, that's all it takes. Okay. No. Yes. Sure. So what do we want to keep here? There's a Geist. Alright, we know what we're up against. We play Ethereal Armor, and then after that we're going to have to hold up our freezing stuff, but this puts him on the 3-turn clock. So, like, now he's going to shock in, or, well, not shock in, but he's going to play a treasure here. And so we hold up March. And then we just phase out his dude when he casts it. He has an empty board. Attack the 3rd time for 7. He dies. And that's why I think this deck is better than the Geomancer deck. Because the Geomancer deck can't really interact with this deck. But this deck can interact with the Geomancer deck. So play your Geomancer. Get phased. That'll do it. That will do it. Alright. And that actually, despite the fact that this deck sucks and is annoying that it's even in the format and shouldn't exist, it is possibly one of the best teachers of that concept that Magic is just a game of turns. Like, what does your turn 1 look like? What does your turn 2 look like? What does your turn 3 look like? Because this deck is like, your turn 1 always looks the same. Your turn 2 and 3, you don't need much. You just need a little tiny push. That's part of the reason that I think that replacing the phasing spells with the spell that makes it draw a card every time it deals damage is bad, because like you're replacing something that's giving you evasion, that's giving you the potential to counter the ability's movement and moves and things like that. You're replacing that with a thing that gives you card advantage over time, but if the deck works, the maximum amount of cards you would draw from it are 2. And so, like, is it really worth it versus just having that extra interaction? Here we go. Okay, get rid of this. It's also a deck that's perfectly comfortable mulliganing down to one land. That's kind of annoying. Petty. You need to come down, dude. Looks like we're up against Convoke. This might be too fast. We do have this slip here. I think we're fucked, actually. It would appear that we're fucked. Can we slip anything to survive this? No. Alright. We just swing and pack it up. The other thing, okay. The other thing about this deck is the volume of games you can play in a short amount of time. Your games are brainless. You don't have to think about it. Mulliganing is, there's no thought to it, no thought process, and the games last 5 minutes tops. Oftentimes 1 or 2 minutes. So it's kind of uniquely positioned to be an insane farming deck. Alright. It's a hard choice. Alright, fuck it. We're all in on damage. So I can also give the tip that, like, if you have a choice between these two, right, and your opponent doesn't have any creatures out, you play this one because you're going to be able to attack with it. And then as soon as they drop the creature, that's when you drop your flying enchantment. Alright, punch punch. We'd love another blue spell or a land so that we could hold up March. If I get another land, I wouldn't even cast the Griffspoon unless he plays a creature. We just sit on March of Swirling Mist to save our ass. Or even just double March. Oh, we drew a blue spell. Perfect. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. Right? We just phase him. Now he can't board wipe. He can't Divine Purge us. We get to keep the Angel. Phasing also showing its power in this deck is just like a very, very strong mechanic for this type of deck where you're really just looking for that window of opportunity. That 2-turn window, basically. Oh, and the other thing, when you're playing against the mirror match, usually the person who wins is whoever can phase an angel first. So in that case, you will be stronger in the mirror match versus the draw deck because of having 3 extra phasing spells usually. Like, obviously, it comes down to chance somewhat, but... ah, shit. Well, that's not great. Is the opponent's turn. Not the end of the world yet. Alright, that's turn. Think our journey might have ended here. He's gonna have kill spells to deal with it too. This is like really, really sketchy. Alright. I mean, he has no clock. If we get a white mana, be in reasonable shape. I think we're starting to get to that point where like our clock is not going to be fast enough. This is 5. If I don't draw him this next turn, we don't have the clock to deal with this. Sure. Yeah, it's over. Well, 5 and 2. 5 and 2 is fine. Could be better, could be worse. There's some loot to open at the end of this too. No, 4 and 3. Okay, 4 and 3 is not ideal, but what I will say is that I'm absolutely confident that if you know what you're doing and you just spam this deck and you don't pay attention to it and you just like watch fucking Beyblade on TV like I'm doing right now while you fucking play it, you'll have a positive win-loss ratio, 100%, and you'll win 7 and 0s and 7 and 3, 7 and 2s a lot, and you won't have to think about it. So it's looking like white-blue, which means we got till turn 3 to find something to save this thing from getting exiled with Divine Purge. Okay, that'll do it. So we should be safe next turn. So we can take the opportunity to get all our shit out. Again, we're always thinking about like what's our next turn look like, right? If we play both these this turn, we've tapped out, but we know he's on white-blue or white. He probably isn't going to have exile removal until turn 3. Oh my god, it's disgusting. And so like this turn here is now ultra critical for him, but look at our hand. Like he has nothing he can do. Yeah, it's over. And like, so I'll tell you, man, this deck does trigger me. I don't get mega triggered when I run into it in ranked, and I don't get mega triggered when I run into it in events. I don't blame people there because you're just running something that's like extremely efficient and polished and consistent. That in order to either like farm right as fast as possible or try and get a high rank, and that stuff I understand. I have a large amount of disgust for people who play this in the play queue where there's nothing on the line and no incentive to play it. I mean, maybe you're just tuning your deck. This deck, though, it shouldn't belong to the play queue. Okay, that's why I didn't have an island in the deck. I remember now. Alright, it's not fucking terrible. We like to slip an angel tomorrow. I mean tomorrow. Next turn. The tomorrow of this game. Alright, and we're going to... Looking at a potential Gates Ablaze next turn, too. But not too much to deal with the funding threat. I think I'm gonna... If I get Gates Ablaze, that's gonna suck, but we'll still have the 5/5. The upside is really high. Yeah, here it is. Alright, absolutely fine. It's not a Gates Ablaze, we don't care. We hit for 9 at least, 11 at most. We have a hand of nothing. We don't have to think about anything we're doing because our hand is just literally stuff that we'll never be able to play in this game. Alright. Not enough. Not quite enough. But maybe. If he has another grazer. Oh, oh, got some mana. Okay. Yeah, not enough. Unless if they're gonna come in on tap, so. And I was barely watching the screen. So I'm watching Beyblade. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh from Wish.com. It's like I'm guessing it's the same guy who did Yu-Gi-Oh. It seems like it. Falsies protection. Fragment. You can have your card. Alright. Be really weird for him to run Divine Purge in an artifact deck. He just goes hand. Sure. I think this means we probably win. The board state as it stands right now, we win. So we don't need to do anything unless the board state changes. I don't see any red for Shrapnel Blast. We give them the GGs. We move on. Sorry. Just doing business. Just doing business. Nope. 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 Yep. Is what it is. And we're hellbent. Turn one. Let's see if it's enough. We'd love to pick up like flying here or slip. Elves? Elves would be bad for us. Okay, no, it's big mana. Big mana is also bad for us right now, though. He can play reach creatures. Really needed to hit that land there. For this one. Fioria's fine.
I defy ghosts. Defying you will be easy.
Alright. Two Nykthos. Cavalier, probably.
Nature flows with vigor.
That's what I expect. 4 months. Reach. Armplex is an interesting addition to that deck, actually. Okay, so let's think about this. I can attack. If we do it like this, that forces him to block the angel, right? Okay. He has mana though. He has 5 plus 3 is 8 mana. There's the cav. That's what we were worried about. We're in a lot of trouble. So if we find, I mean, there are outs. A fragment reality would potentially be an out. Him attacking wrong. Need more mana. We have outs, so like anything with phasing, well, not anything. It would need to be slip. Slip would potentially win it. Oh, no, that's bad. Now, we have to... He might attack, though. 5 mana. We're actually just dead next turn to layer the Hydra, too. So there's that. Harn doesn't matter here unless he can get more mana, which I don't think he can. It's gonna... So, what do we get here that wins the game for us? I don't think there is anything. So now he has three creatures. Find First Strike, Haze, Trample, blah blah blah. Yeah, alright, we're dead. Sideboard for that. So we have the ley line of bindings in our sideboard. We could probably also get like a... trying to think of what else would be good there. Rest in Peace. This is almost good, but not quite. Shango. This is what we can cast anyway, so. No thoughtseize, please. That's not good. It's ninjas. Ninjas might be. Ninjas might be okay. Fragment reality actually pretty strong here. With him doing Thousand Fate, this guy hijinks. The next turn he's gonna want to copy, probably. Boundary. Let's see an ornithopter. There's the no blocks. Okay. That's not great. So what do we need here? Griff Spoon won't do it. So yeah, we actually have to sit on the defensive here. Pretty good top deck. I didn't think about the Ornithopters being a 0-cost creature you could pull out of the deck. That Ninja's deck is actually fucking legit. That might be the second best deck. It's very, very good, I think. Like, it kind of does... It's like a good all-round deck, sort of like Wizards. It's probably about on par with Wizards, I think. Come on. Okay, there we go. Alright, thickness. Yep. We'll keep it. Might get Thoughtseize, but if we don't, it's pretty good. If he doesn't have a creature turn one, we can double Ethereal Armor and just punch. Okay, we don't give a shit about that, actually. Let's make it bigger, faster, sure. Alright, opponent. Does get him the flyer. Is it enough? Let me think. It's not enough to kill us. I don't think it's enough, right? High swing, he gains 2 life, blocks the 9/9, takes 4, dies. I think that's how that works. Seems that way. A little scary. We have a lot of anti-synergy with them since we're making a creature guaranteed every turn. Yep. Looks good. We have Thoughtseize protection. So we can't actually cast Ethereal Armor. We're gonna have to... Wait, what am I doing? That was terrible. My brain died for a second. I was watching the sick Beyblade fight. So yeah, I kind of blew it there. I'm not ready for the shame scoop yet. We're not on a super long-term clock. We've got 3 cards. Yeah, that was a boneheaded move. I was actually looking at the TV. That's my story. There we go. So we can't use it till next turn anyway. So we're just gonna chill. Come on, cast something with Flash. We have to go now. Oh my god. So lucky. That's a lot. I think I have to hold this march to shrink his crew next turn. So I march, shrink the... Does that... We go 2, 2, 1. I think that's correct. If he has another lord, it's like totally fucked. Drogskull's a problem too. We're dead either way. So we like totally blew it in this one. Alright. I just needed to wait a turn. Mausoleum Wanderer. A surprisingly good counter to our deck. Alright. I'm gonna take a break, get some dinner. Later.